Hello girls and boys, hello mummies and daddies, hello to everybody else who may well be tuning in for today's bedtime story. Our story today is The Smartest Giant in Town. It's another one by Julia Donaldson, one that you might be familiar with, and if you're not, then hopefully you'll enjoy this one and you'll get to like it a lot. These legs and these feet belong to the smartest giant in town. George was a giant, the scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of old brown sandals and the same old patched up gown. I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town, he said sadly. But one day, George noticed a new shop. It was full of smart clothes, so he bought a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, a smart belt, a smart stripy tie, and some smart socks with diamonds up the sides, and a pair of smart shiny shoes. Now I'm the smartest giant in town, he said proudly. Oh dear, having trouble turning the pages. George left behind his old clothes in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sniffing sadly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my neck," said the giraffe. "It's so very long and so very cold. I wish I had a long, warm scarf." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his stripy tie. "It didn't match my socks anyway," he said, as he wound it round the neck of the giraffe. It made a wonderful scarf. "Thank you," said the giraffe. As he strode towards home, he sang to himself, "My tie's a scarf for a cold giraffe, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a river. On a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. "What's the matter?" asked George. "It's my sail," said the goat. "It blew away in a storm. I wish I had a strong new sail for my boat." "Cheer up," said George, and he took off his new white shirt. "It kept coming untucked anyway," he said, as he tied it to the mast of the goat's boat. "It made a magnificent sail." "Thank you," said the goat. George strode on, singing to himself, "My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, my shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat, but look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town." George came to a tiny, ruined house. Behind the house stood a white little mouse with lots of baby mice. They were all squeaking. "What's What's the matter? Asked George. It's our house, squeaked the Mother Mouse. It burned down, and now we have nowhere to live. I wish we had a nice new house. Oh, cheer up, said George, and he took off one of his shiny new shoes. It was giving me blisters anyway, he said, as the mouse and her babies scrambled inside. The shoe made a perfect home for them. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, they squeaked. George had to hop along the road, but he didn't mind. As he hopped, he sang to himself, my tie's a scarf for a cold giraffe, the shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. George came to a campfire and a campsite. Beside a tent stood a fox who was crying. What's the matter? Asked George. It's my sleeping bag, said the fox. I dropped it in a puddle. I wish I had a warm, dry sleeping bag. Cheer up, said George, and he took off one of his socks with diamonds up the sides. It was tickling my toes anyway, he said, as the fox snuggled into it. It made a fine sleeping bag. Oh, thank you, said the fox. George hopped on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a white little mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. But look me up and down, I'm the smartest giant in town. George came to a big, squelchy bog. Beside the bog stood a dog who was howling. What's the matter? Asked George. It's this bog, said the dog. I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I wish there was a safe, dry patch. Cheer up, said the giant, as he took off his smart new belt. It was squashing my tummy anyway, he said, as he laid it down over the bog. It made an excellent path. Oh, thank you, said the dog. The wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt's on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoe is a house for a little white mouse. One of my socks is a bed for a fox. My belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog. But my trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town. George suddenly felt sad and shivery and not at all smart. He stood on one foot and thought, I'll have to go back to the shop and buy more clothes, he decided. He turned round and hopped all the way back to the shop. But when he got there, The shop was closed. Oh, no, cried George. He sank down onto the doorstep with a tear running down his face. He felt as sad as all the animals he'd met on his way home. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a bag with something familiar poking out of the top. George took a closer look. My gown, he yelled. My dear old gown and sandals. George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable. I'm the cosiest giant in town, he cried, and he danced home back along the road. Outside his front door stood all the animals that had helped. They were carrying an enormous present. Come on, George, they said, open it. George untied the ribbon. Inside was a beautiful gold paper crown and a card. Look inside the card, George, said the animals. George put the crown on his head and opened the card. Inside it, it said, your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, your shirt's on a boat, as a sail for a goat, your shoe is a house for a little white mouse, one of your socks is a bed for a fox, your belt helped a dog who was crossing a bog, so here is a fine crown to go with the sandals and gown, because you are the kindest giant in town. That is the end of today's story. I hope you enjoyed it. I wasn't sure at the beginning that I was going to burst into song, but once I'd started, I didn't feel like I could stop. I hope you enjoyed it. Snuggle down now. I'm sure you've cleaned your teeth. I'm sure you've washed your face. I'm sure you've been to the toilet. I'm sure you're ready for bed. So have a wonderful sleep. Sweet dreams to all of you, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Goodbye. Sleep well.